If a good job in the city, working for the man every night and day, and never lost 1 minute of sleep, and worrying about the wages night and day. We'll keep on turning, and time will keep on rolling, rolling, rolling on the river.
Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today in YouTube land? Steve the drummer here. I want to talk to you, continuing on my series about avoiding the trap. Today's trap that I'm going to talk to you about, I'm just going to cut to the chase in case you don't make it all the way through the video, but today's trap that we're going to talk about, I think, is the most important thing that we can talk about in regards not only to music, not only to drums, not only to hobbies, but just to life in general. So just cutting to the chase here. Avoiding trap number 2 is the crippling effect of fear of failure. Okay, so we're going to get into that in just a couple seconds. Before I dive into that subject, I want to give a quick shout out here. Whelan drums, Stephen Whelan, absolutely awesome drummer, awesome educator, awesome human being. He's put out 2 videos recently on his channel. One's called "It's Okay to Make Mistakes." Another is called "A List That Could Change Your Life." I'm going to leave links to both those videos in the description of this video. Please, by all means, go check out the videos. Go check out Whelan Drums. Subscribe to his channel. And so anyhow, a couple of years ago, I was home from a trip and spent a couple of days at home. And I was bored one day and just kind of channel surfing along here. And I came across an interview with a really successful business person, and the crux of the interview, the interviewer was asking the interviewee what she felt was the biggest what did she attribute her success to? What had made her such a success in the business world? And she told a story about when she was growing up that her father, they all sat down to dinner at the dinner table most evenings. And every evening her father asked all the children at the table, what did they fail at that day? And it wasn't anything like he was trying to browbeat the kids or shame the kids for failing or anything like that. It was actually quite the opposite. His theory was that if the kids weren't failing at things, then they weren't trying at things. And if they weren't trying at things, they weren't applying themselves, and they weren't going to get everything they possibly could out of life. So his philosophy was that failure is okay. There are many failures along the road to success. And this particular person, I don't have the lady's name in front of me, but she's the CEO of the Spanx Corporation. She's probably one of the most successful women in business, and she's a multi-billionaire. And this is what she felt led to her success. She would always say that she never felt like she was the smartest. She had many challenges and failures in her life leading up to the successful launch of her corporation, but nonetheless, now she's a very successful person, and that's just based on the fact that she was encouraged from a very young age not to be afraid of failure. Now, I can directly relate that to my life. I can very directly relate that to my life. You guys know that I play the drums, I post drum covers and do silly stuff and all. And you also know that my day job is I'm an airline pilot, and so it would be a pretty quick and easy assumption to think that if I'm an airline pilot, that I must be former military, or that I must have grown up in aviation, or that that it would be easy to draw certain assumptions about my life. But the truth of the matter is that's just simply not true. What the absolute truth is when I was growing up, I was absolutely enamored with aviation. From a very early age, I thought that airplanes were really, really cool. And for the sake of kind of condensing the story a little bit, I won't go too deeply into that. But I was a horrible student. I did not get good grades, and I was always told that if I wanted to be a pilot, then I needed to be really smart, I needed to get really good grades, and I needed to work really hard in school. Well, I kind of chose a different path. That didn't sound very appealing to me, so I chose what I would best describe as the path of least resistance, and instead of applying myself in school and doing my very best, um, I didn't do any work at all, and I got absolutely horrible grades, and I basically slept through school, and I flunked out of college within 1 year, and so I say all that to say that um, that I failed at school, but it wasn't. It was for all the wrong reasons. It wasn't because I was trying and I didn't succeed. It was because I was choosing the path of least resistance and not applying myself. Now, as I move forward through the years of my life, when I left, I used to jokingly say that my college year, singular, was the best year of my life. But when I moved from that out into the real world, essentially, um, a person of very few skills, what I opted to do was I went to work in the restaurant business. And when I started off in the restaurant business, once again, college dropout, not a lot of skills, young guy. Um, I started off washing pots, scrubbing pots, and chopping vegetables, and basically working as a prep cook. And I started in the restaurant business that way, and I worked in the restaurant business for roughly 12 years. And over time, I gained skills, learned different things, and ultimately became a restaurant manager. And I worked in the restaurant business for a grand total of 12 years and started off as a pot washer and left as a manager. Now, when I was looking to leave the restaurant business behind, I wanted to go do something else, but based on the fact that I still didn't have a college degree, my options were somewhat limited. So hotels, restaurants, and country clubs buy their food from suppliers. They're called broadline distributors. There's two very large ones in the country. One's called Cisco Food Service, and the other's called U.S. Food Service. And I was lucky enough, based on my time in the restaurants and my reputation in the restaurants, to be able to get a job at U.S. Food Service as a salesperson selling groceries to hotels, restaurants, and country clubs. And I was relatively successful doing this. And I built a modest territory. I did this for roughly 7 or 8 years. So grand total, 12 years in restaurants, 7 or 8 years in sales. I had roughly a 20-year food career. And so this success that I enjoyed in the sales business came with a paycheck, and I was able to take that paycheck and go to the local airport and take flying lessons and learn to fly. And that's basically how I got into aviation, was by pursuing a dream, albeit like 20 years later into life. And so once I earned all my certificates and all my ratings and got checked out as a pilot and became an instructor at the local airport teaching people to fly, I was able to get a job with a small commuter airline relatively quickly thereafter. Went to work at a small commuter airline, flying small turboprop airplanes, short flights, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, maybe an hour max, short distances, and kind of cut my teeth doing that. And I realized that in order to move on to the next level, that I was ultimately going to have to get a college degree. And so I went back to school online, completed my degree online. Now, fast forward to today. Today, I'm an Airbus captain, an A320 captain. The airline that I work for has 3 different variations of the airplane, and the largest variation that we have that I'm checked out to fly seats up to 228 passengers with a crew of 7. So essentially, at any given time, I can have as many as 235 lives in my hands. Now, I'm not trying to say all that to say, ooh, big me, or anything like that. What I am trying to say is, basically, fear of failure was a factor here in that I didn't try. I chose the path of least resistance. Now, ultimately, I got where I wanted to go in life, but I set myself back a good 20 years in doing so. Now, I'm not trying to say in this video something like, ooh, boo-hoo, woe is me, blah, 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 or my parents, or anything like that. I take full responsibility for all of my actions and for everything that I did throughout the course of my life. And quite frankly, all these pieces came together to shape me to be the person that I am today. I have a great deal of experience in the hospitality business. I have a great deal of experience in the sales and the service sectors of business, and a great deal of experience just in business in general. And so I think that those things shape me to be the person that I am today and to see things the way that I see things today, as screwed up and convoluted as that may be. What am I trying to say here? If you're playing the drums, you're putting yourself out there. If you're putting up videos on YouTube, you're putting yourself out there. But you know what? That's okay. I look at, just a very small example of my life. I look at my own personal YouTube channel, and I've probably got 50 or so covers up, give or take now. And some of them I really look at them and go, man, why did I ever hit upload? That is the worst thing I've ever seen. Some of them turned out pretty good. I wouldn't have the good ones if I didn't do all the bad ones along the way to use as building blocks to learn how to make better drum covers. When I think about playing in bands, in bars, playing with other musicians, sometimes you don't get the gig. Sometimes you get the gig and the gig doesn't go so well. Sometimes the gig not going well has something to do with your personal performance, and a lot of times it has nothing to do with that. But nonetheless, if you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to see and enjoy those things. So the trap is the crippling fear of failure. And the solution is put yourself out there. Try. Do your very best. And even when things don't work out, you can at least sit there and say, what I did was the best I can do. And I'm proud of myself for doing what I did. Now, there's kind of a side note to this. There's been a great debate recently by several YouTube drummers about the art of constructive criticism and whether or not constructive criticism should be given. And is that a form of bullying? And blah, 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 blah. And what I've got to say to that is these are two totally different subjects. Number one, I strongly encourage you to put yourself out there. But number two, the bedrock to success in anything is feedback. It's constructive feedback. Now, that doesn't mean to go out and, just thrash on somebody for no reason whatsoever. There's a huge difference between constructive criticism and just being a jerk. And I don't advocate being a jerk at all, but I do strongly advocate putting yourself out there, giving 110%, receiving constructive criticism, and being all the better for it. And furthermore, offering constructive criticism as well. Listen, that's my video for today. Got kind of long-winded. I apologize. Once again, circling back, shout out to Whelan Drums. Please, by all means, go check out his channel. If you like what you see here, press the like button, leave some comments. Love to talk to you, and subscribe to my channel. I hope everybody's having an absolutely awesome day. Take care.